But if you didn't see this, a little over a week ago, China conducted the Chinese Party, essentially Congress in China, where the new leadership was named. And I'm sure you at least heard the headlines on the news, and that is that President Xi was, of course, reelected. I mean, you don't even want to call it that. President Xi, they ought to just change it from president to emperor. Emperor Xi is now going to be emperor for life, and they'll do it in 5-year terms, but he eliminated the 2-term term limit that at least ostensibly existed there. By the way, he also cleaned house, and if you didn't see this video, you got to go out and watch it. Is in a pretty interesting fashion. His predecessor, the president before he was president, Hu Jintao, they were getting ready essentially to open one of the congressional sessions. They had just let the international media in, and everything was being filmed, and in come a couple little apparatchiks or Communist Party functionaries to come in and remove Hu Jintao. And if you watch the video, all you got to do is type "remove Hu Jintao" in. You can still find this on the internet and watch this video. It's because some people are saying, well, maybe it wasn't, maybe he just was losing it. Maybe he's a little senile and they wanted to help him off. I don't know. You watch the video and you tell me he's not being removed forcibly, although there's nobody pulls out a baton and hits him in the head, but they certainly are grabbing his arms, not letting him go and pulling him along. He kind of grabs President Xi's shoulder a little bit like, hey, what's going on? And boy, just watch the whole front row of this Communist Congress. Nobody even wants to turn around. Don't be caught looking at the guy being removed because, hey, it may be you next. This is Stalin level of fear, right? You be careful how you look at Stalin because you might just get killed. He was looking for reasons to kill people. And now Hu Jintao's getting removed, and just watch everybody just sit there. I mean, these are people who are friends of his, you would think, or at least they worked with him. Remember, he was president before Xi was, immediately before. In fact, he actually reaches out to the guy on Xi's right hand because Hu Jintao was sitting on Xi's left hand. And he actually, as he's being whisked out, reaches out to Li Keqiang, who was the premier. Well, was the premier. He's going to be removed now. And one of Xi's buddies is going to be put in, these people in the 7-member Politburo Standing Committee, which is, basically the group that's in charge of the way the communist government is run. And it's been this way. It's been this way since Russian communism. It's been this way since Lenin and Stalin. And, of course, Stalin's the one who really elevated the position of General Secretary of the Communist Party to the one in charge of everything. And, of course, that's the position that Xi currently holds and will hold, I'm sure, for the rest of his life.
It's Xi's way or the highway.
It's Xi's way or the highway, and a lot of guys at home, you know how that goes. So don't be taking the highway because, as they reported, Hu Jintao just wasn't feeling well, and he had to go lay down, took a nap, and now he's feeling much better. He's also been totally removed from Chinese social media. Their Weibo social media platform, Weibo, he's been totally erased off of there. He's now a non-person. I don't know what's happened to the guy. I mean, of course, there's no free media over there, so you can't see. But they're just getting rid of him. And that story, while it made a little bit of news, nobody really looked into that. They don't dare speak up against Xi and what's going on in China. Meanwhile, we see videos of people in the UK protesting outside of the Chinese consulate and the United Kingdom and Britain. And you actually see them get dragged by the security guards on the consulate grounds so that the security guards can baton them with clubs. This is the kind of regime we're dealing with. This is not a friendly regime. They do not believe in human rights. And then we come to find out, and this is crazy, we come to find out that the Chinese Communist Party now has a police department, an outpost they call it, in New York City. And we also come to find out, who's going to report on this stuff except the Epoch Times? You don't get this anywhere else. You got to check out the Epoch Times, folks. They're reporting on this. They're anti-Chinese Communist Party because they're basically the folks, they're the Falun Gong folks. They came over to the U.S. in the 90s after the persecution of the Falun Gong movement in China, and they started this newspaper because they wanted to fight against the Chinese Communist Party, and it's kind of morphed into this free newspaper, one of the few newspapers that I see that's still doing independent journalism and writing great stories, and you can get it delivered to your house. It's not very expensive. We are not sponsored by them. We would like to be. It's a great paper. I really enjoy reading it every week, and I recommend you get it. But they're reporting on this kind of stuff, and what you're finding out is that the Chinese Communist Party has got police stations that they've opened up all over the world.
Is it in Chinatown?
You would think so, Pat George. I mean, surely it's in Chinatown. And so they've opened these up all around the world in a bunch of different countries. I mean, there are 9 of these things in the country of Spain. And what are these police offices, these police stations for in other countries? Well, therefore, persuading Chinese people who've left China and maybe are critical of China to come back to China voluntarily. Oh, so they've already persuaded about 250,000 people to come back to China voluntarily. And how do they do that? Well, based on their own information, they target the person's children in China. They deny the children the ability to get an education in China. They also target their family members and relatives over in China. So, hey, either come back to China or we're going to make it real hard for your family. You know, your kids are not going to get an education. We're probably going to ship them off to a prison camp. It's your choice. And what parent isn't going to trade their life for the life of their children under that kind of threat? So these people are going back to China. And, you know, how is this legal? I mean, they've even got a law that's passed now in China. It's been passed in China, and it will start to apply December 1st, which is right around the corner, which is extraterritoriality, which means Chinese nationals anywhere in the world are subject to Chinese law and Chinese jurisdiction, even if they're in New York City. And how are we allowing a police station, a Chinese police station in New York City? And you want to hear something else? China has now demonstrated the technology of pairing up robotic dogs with drones that can fly them and drop them anywhere. So if you want to go out and see a great Black Mirror episode, go out there and watch Metalhead about the metal dog that, you know, chases after these people stealing from a warehouse. China now has drones that can fly those metal dogs anywhere and drop them anywhere. And imagine what the battlefields of the future are going to look like when this technology gets mass produced. It's going to be frightening. Folks, thanks for joining us. I'm Morgan Streetman, and that's the way I see it.
Thank you for listening to the Morgan Streetman Show. We hope you enjoyed what you heard, and if you did, please click like and subscribe to help us out. And remember that we recommend that you exercise your brain at least once a week.